We're on 14 acres of land that was at one time owned by a family by the name of Miller. They were German immigrants that actually came into ownership of this land in 1893, I believe. So this land has been stewarded for about 130 years as farmland. At one point, it was 200 acres, and over time, the different generations of Millers sold off the land to the neighborhoods that you see today. And before that, we're actually actively working on learning more about how they came into ownership of this land. But before that, we know that in this region, this land was stewarded and inhabited by the Illini, the Missouri, and the Osage people, who were unjustly displaced of this land. And we just like to acknowledge that. And we would also love to know more history about that, but unfortunately, there's not a lot of written record when it comes to those histories. So with that being said, we do, as an organization, actively really try to steward land responsibly. We are USDA certified, and we also use regenerative practices that are rooted in permaculture, which is a method that actually really uses like indigenous and natural knowledge and methods and wisdom to work with nature rather than against it. Yeah. We want to restore the soil. We want to, make habitat for not just ourselves, but for all living things. And we try to do that the best we can here on our production field as well as in our auxiliary gardens. So we are currently farming about 3 acres. That includes our hoop houses and our orchards. And we're unique in the sense that a lot of market farms, which is kind of what we would be considered as far as size is concerned, would normally kind of hone in on maybe 10 or 20 crops at the most, and really specialize in those things and what they sell. Whereas we grow about 35 to 50 different crops each year. Because we're an education farm, our mission is to train and allow folks to access farm and garden knowledge so that they can grow their own food, as well as giving folks access to that nutrient-rich food. We know in this region that we are riddled with food apartheid. Some folks know that it's a food desert. We say apartheid because it's human-created. It is not a naturally created system. And so one of the things we do here in our mission is all of our farm stand produce, all of our produce that we sell at our market is on a pay-what-you-can basis, a solidarity form of payment where we have a suggested retail price and folks can pay as little or as much as they would like. So if you need the produce free that day, no questions asked, you grab what you need. If you have an extra $5 to spare, you can pay more. So that's sort of how we do our pricing. And then we also do that with our education program. So we do a program each spring called Spring Training. It's a 5 to 6 week course that has virtual and in-person education on all things you'd ever really need to know about annual vegetable gardening, and especially in like a home gardening setting, not necessarily market garden production fields, but growing food in your own home or your own food pantry, things like that. And all of our education, including our workshops that we provide at the farm, are all on a pay-what-you-can basis as well. So those also will have a suggested, let's say a workshop is suggested $35. You can pay as little or as much as you want, and those are all no questions asked. You don't have to prove anything about your income or any of that.